By now, a lot of people have probably seen this chart. I just want to focus specifically on the one matchup at a time. So this one, I'll focus on Tony versus Sam. As you can see here, clearly everyone has been picking Tony. Let's talk about why. In this first match, you can see Tony fights back from a losing position deep in the hook, in the strap, versus Justin Bishop. He manages to out-endure him and then turn around and pull him all the way back over to the pin here, and he ends up getting the win. So he shows he has the endurance to come back from, a losing position. Then the next time he faces Justin here, you actually see that he has more dominance. He controls him more in the center and puts him away early. So, his dominance of Justin, I think, is a good way to start off our discussion for Tony. Next, I wanted to show Tony versus Jeff, especially because Jeff has pulled Sam. And the thing about these matches here, they're older matches, but you can see that Tony clearly had the endurance quite some time back. He's battling it out here with Jeff. It's a long match. Even when he gets, sucked into a hook, he still manages to come back. The thing that really seems like he's actually able to beat, or is to be in a worse position here, is the further Jeff gets him into a hook, it is harder for him to come back. But in this next match, he gets a little dragged into the losing position here, but he actually still can hold on. He doesn't have to have that winning edge. He can win in a losing position, and soon you'll see in a minute he'll win in a winning position. He won't give up too much and get too cocky or go to a bad position. He holds his advantages, and that's the thing about Tony, is I think he's versatile whether he's winning or losing, and he knows how to find a spot where he can out-endure his opponent. And so here, he's turned this position of originally losing into a win versus Jeff here. And so there you go, he wins that match. Now, in this is what I'm talking about. He knows how to get the advantage, keep the advantage, not jump immediately to the pin pad. He's slowly going for it. I mean, it's sped up here. I sped up this video because these videos would be way too long with his match with Jeff. But again, because I'm speeding it up, these are long matches. Again, he's got quite the endurance, but he's able to keep his hand control. He has the top roll this entire time. He's got, superior hand control for nearly this entire match, even though he's let Jeff bring it back a little bit to his side of the table, but he still never gives up too much until he's able to get that pin. And then I still wanted to show Tony versus Doug, even though, Doug's not the top of the lightweights, but he's still a very strong contender. And the fact that you see Tony here completely dominate with hand control, completely just control the center of the table, get exactly what he wants, and then surge for the pin. This shows Tony's strength this season. He is not weak, and he's been training hard. He used to be, one of the original champions back in the tournament days. But, you see in this Super Match series, he's still really strong. The one thing about this matchup versus Doug is Doug might have been hurt earlier on, but you still see the dominance, and I think that's important. You see that he's hungry, and he's here to win. Now, if we move on to Sam versus Luke, I left in this earlier portion because I wanted to focus on the fact that I think Luke might have the crowd in his head quite a bit. You can hear them heckling him here, so that might have been part of the factor. But at the same time, this is where we first saw Sam rise to dominance and to attain his first hammer in this season. So, we know that Luke Kent has been called Lightning Luke Kent because normally he has a very quick hit. But Sam seems to completely neutralize it in this super match that they had. It almost makes it look like either Sam is so dominant that Luke can't hit, or it could be the flip side, that Sam had gotten into Luke's head along with the audience, and at that point, Luke had just beat himself almost. But I have to still give Sam a lot of credit because he played well into the mental game and he completely dominated Luke here. This is where, if you've seen this match and only this match, you might think Tony is going to have a pretty hard time. Now, we had seen Tony versus Justin earlier, and I wanted to show Sam versus Justin. You see that he dominated Justin a bit easier than Tony did, at least in Tony's first match. He came back from a loss, but I thought that was still important to show. Following up with, I have to still focus on Sam versus Jeff, because in the second time they faced off, Jeff was able to hit first, and he was able to pull Sam deep into a hook and get that pin right in that first round. He gets him into a hook again in the second round, not as deep, but he still manages to finish with a pin. And this shows that Sam is vulnerable. If you get Sam where you want him deep into a hook, or you take away the hand position that he wants, he can be beaten. Now, the important thing is we watch here after that second match. In the third match, Sam gets what he wants. He gets the hand control. He manages to contain Jeff right in the center of the table, and he knows how to drain his opponent. And that's the thing about Sam versus Jeff, and I think that's why Sam ultimately wins this matchup versus Jeff. But I don't think that that would happen versus Tony. Tony shows his endurance in the previous matches that I talked about. And I don't think that Tony would let Sam just drain him out. I believe that Tony is stronger than that. And you saw Tony pull Jeff back from a losing position. And you'll continue to see Sam here just drain Jeff out in the center of the table. He gets the hand control he wants. You know, maybe that first loss is starting to eat at Jeff mentally, so maybe that's why he's not hitting as fast, or maybe Sam has just completely adapted to the first two losses and learned exactly what he needed to do to get that hand control. But yeah, you know, regardless of, I believe this match was argued about whether there's a false starts or fouls or anything like that, and I believe this last one ends on a foul, unfortunately. But you still have to give Sam credit. He adjusted from the first two losses, he came back and he won, but I still think that Tony, when you watch that matchup that he had versus Jeff years ago, I just think that Tony is more versatile. Tony is going to not give Sam the openings that Jeff did, and if Jeff was able to get 2 pins, I don't see why Tony couldn't have a better chance at getting 3 pins. And they both seem to prefer to do top roll. You know, Sam top rolls Jeff in, you know, both the series that he was in, and Tony was top rolling in most of his matches. I just think Tony might be stronger, and he's probably going to get better hand control than Sam. And if Sam can't get that top roll that he wants, I just don't think he's as good as Tony at fighting back from an unfavorable position. Whereas we saw Tony come back from the depths of a deep hook, maybe not the deepest of hooks, but he has come back and he's won, and I think that's the difference between him and Sam, and I think that's why everybody is so confident that this is Tony's time to take home the hammer.